Elections and John Allen.
As we take a look at Alpha 7, the previous winners of that Miramar, we have another one on the cards. We'll see if they can repeat that performance here, but there are plenty of other teams looking to try and change the story now. A pretty dramatic circle set that we had at the start of that last match. I think it's safe to say, especially that hard south shift to kick things off.
That's it, yeah. Falcons punished, right? And I think I look at them to potentially be the team to make an impact. What would have happened if they didn't run into literally 4 or 5 teams as they tried to full send it into the zone? And well, I think they could have made a deep run. After all, this is the first time Team Falcons will drop below top 8. So you know they want to break back in, but it takes this one game, this final game of day 1.
What's interesting about where Falcons were is that I think they could have sent one player down to the South Island. I think it would have been potentially a good call for them. You can hole up, you know you're not going to be shot from that far side. You've got 2 positions. You've got a crazy isolated and safe off angle. Maybe Team Secret sweep it away, but I feel like they could have tried to change that fight a little bit. Unfortunately, they're not going to have the opportunity to. It's all of our beautiful players there on that multi-cam. Nice stuff. All 64 of them locked and loaded into the plane, heading on over Miramar. From Tierra Bronca over towards La Riera. You can see those overall rankings as well on the left-hand side of your screen. I know it was pretty rapid back over on the desk, and they were gambling to get through it. But we get a little bit more of a leisurely pace to look at this one.
That's it. Alpha 7 taking first place is huge for them. You know, during the America season, I felt they dropped the ball. I really He did. 3rd place, barely making it through a North American roster of the Wolves with Coops & Co. like nearly dethroning the previous Esports World Cup champions. So Alpha 7 finally skate by. They get top 3 in Americas. They come into today, at least in my mind, with a lot of questions, which have now been answered. Are they going to perform well on that stage? Well, absolutely the case. They've won 2 out of the 5 games today. They could very well go 3 out of the 6. It's absolutely a possibility. And Carrillo leading the charge in most eliminations is really awesome to see, because you already know Squash is going to perform well in the elimination category. He had the 2nd most eliminations during the PMSL America season. Then you also look, of course, on the opposite side, you have Revo, who you know can slay out. Yeah, he's a little bit quiet today, but make no mistake, he's always going to be that guy. And the Mafioso with the highest damage. You've got 3 dominant.
If you find first aids, you're basically a god on these hot drops. So they're going to be looking to try and find that. Falcons a little bit more crunched in, a little bit more penned in by Carrillo's forward position. Aren't going to have as much of an opportunity to go for that util, to find those meds, those stims, those things that can really change the tides of these fights.
Ralph, Narvalo, I mean, just so much going in the way of Team Falcons. I think they're looking great, I really do. And honestly, this fight should stalemate, if I had to guess. I don't see the reason why either one would want to really go at it this early on, especially when they understand what's at stake, the final game of the day. But let's face it, Team Falcons losing this is going to hurt a lot more than Alpha 7 losing this, right? So Alpha 7 can go in this fight kind of free and clear. They know they're well within the top 8. For Team Falcons, they're not. They need a solid ending to day 1.
They definitely do. It is, as you say, something they can't afford to let slip from them. Just like Falcons are going to continue. I mean, a fight for El Pozo between these 2 teams seems like they're fairly committed. But Navallo grabbing a little bit more It's burning time for this looting phase as well, which is what we ought to always talk about when it comes to these hot drops, especially on Miramar. Rotations take a little bit longer. You do need to get on the road as fast as possible. Mafioso thinks he's got enough to be getting on with, does have a med kit in tow, and will be able to get all the way up to the top, get that high ground unchallenged.
First shot. I thought the first shots were about to ring out. Mafioso, good trigger discipline. Because the question is, does Falcons know where Mafioso is currently at? So if they go to let's say Falcons get a knock on Alpha 7 and they go to transition right to capitalize on that down, Mafioso could be the thorn in the side of Falcons' rotation.
Certainly could. It's hang on a minute. Influence Rage trying to rock up to Team Secret. They say no, thank you. We're keeping our teammates safe, thank you very much. And that's 2 knocks already sent back their way. There's 1 player knocked off in the distance, but we saw they had the guard on. And now it's Lorazin and Lil Boy both looking to try and get away from this. They're not going to re-engage. They're just giving up the ghost. 2 of their players down, and they're even going to allow this Reds to come through.
Yeah, I think Influence Rage for them backing away with the 2 players. Hey, that's probably the play. There's been a large conversation, at least in the Americas region, and I want your opinion on it. Is it worth it to just full sends with your remaining 2 players, your remaining solo, and try and go for the eliminations, or live to fight another day? Because there are some opinions that it's much better to just full send and fully commit. Even if you're the first team out, it's a better option than just surviving for another engagement.
Well, take a quick look at that replay. That was a pretty sick mow down there with the M249. I think certainly you could argue either way. The question is, as it comes to with all decisions, I think in PUBG Mobile, is what is the expected value of a play, which means on average how many points you get for a play like that. Is it easier to make, say, 2 points and lose the fight in that engagement when you go in 2v4, or is it easier to try and live until 6th, 7th place as a duo, right? I think that it's a lot more predictable to earn that sort of placement points in that strategy. So for my money, I do sort of favor. It depends. Well, obviously everything always it depends.
That's right. Yeah.
But for my money, I think that the disengage is the correct play there.
I think so too, and I was trying to explain that because I'm like, disengaging, getting additional points when you know you're fighting for a championship here. You're fighting for hundreds of thousands of dollars, right? Literally life-changing money. Why not stay alive? Why fully commit when you know you're just going to be a martyr, right? I don't think there's any point in that. There are times, like you said, it's situational, and that's the beautiful thing about BRs. It's a beautiful thing about PUBG Mobile specifically.
Yeah. Every
fight is different. Every engagement is different. No map is the same. Yeah, you'll have similar situations, but every single time you drop into Erangel, Sandhawk, Miramar, you can't expect the same result that happened in the previous maps.
Absolutely not. To the it depends side of the argument. One, the length of the tournament that you're playing in, because if you're playing high volatility strategies, you can take those into a longer form tournament and be a lot safer, right? Because on average, it's going to bear out earning the points, right? Sure, maybe 4 out of 5 times you get nothing, but 1 out of 5 times, all of a sudden, hang on a minute, I've got loads, but you don't see those 5 opportunities in a short form tournament. So for 12 matches, you do want to take a little bit of a safer route. And it goes back to what I was saying about earning 12 points in 1 map versus 1 point in 12 maps. It's the same impact on the tables either way. And when you shrink that tournament size set, those lower volatility plays, those more certain plays become more and more valuable in this specific scenario in terms of points earnings.
Looks like Alpha 7 finally striking first onto the Falcons roster. Mafioso will drop 1 for Falcons. Not a guaranteed cleanup, I don't believe anyways. I take a big no. So Falcons going to have a downed player. That fight's still going to be. Absolutely they do. Okay, we're over to the Chumacera Hills. Again, a little bit further north than we were last time. This is going to be a mad dash. Right now, there are no players on the south side of Chumacera into those hills that we were witness to the last match. Now, who's going to be able to get there? DRX on a wide swing, currently passing via Demar. It looks like AXTMG...
completely got the acronym there. AX,
TMG, baby.
TMG, going to be heading in to the east edge of Chumacera.
Yeah.
So they're not even going to go for those hills down to that side. A lot of teams descending just straight into that urban environment. But I feel like DRX have the right call on this one, heading further south and into those hills.
That's exactly what they're going to do. DRX, a team, a shining star, really, of day one. Yeah, third place currently, but at one point was well within first. And you got to owe that to, obviously, their winner chicken dinners. Two of them today only matched by Alpha 7. And